conflict. A massive fire has broken out at an oil depot near Sochi, Russia, with authorities blaming a Ukrainian drone attack for the blaze. Russian officials say drone debris struck a fuel tank, sparking the fire, which 127 firefighters are currently battling. Meanwhile, Russia has also launched a missile strike on Ukraine's southern city of Kyiv, injuring at least 7 civilians. The attack on Sochi is part of a broader series of drone strikes by Ukraine over the weekend, which targeted several southern Russian cities, including Ryazan, Penza and Voronezh. Russia's defense ministry reported intercepting 93 Ukrainian drones overnight. The strikes come after a deadly week for civilians in Ukraine, including an attack on Kyiv that killed 31 people. In response, Ukrainian President Zelensky called for stronger international sanctions on Russia, while US President Trump has condemned Russia's actions and hinted at new sanctions. We're once again joined by Ross Feingold to discuss the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Ross, there's a lot of speculation here. A lot of people think that Russia has firmly won this war. However, we still see Ukraine sending over drones, sending over aerial attacks. What are your thoughts of the current military capabilities of Ukraine?
It appears that, at least in the regions of eastern Ukraine that Russia occupies, that Ukraine is generally unable to recapture their lost territory. And in fact, Russia makes very incremental, very small territorial gains as the weeks and months go by. Again, it should be emphasized that Russia does make gains, but they are very slow and come at a very large cost in injured and killed personnel, as well as equipment that gets damaged or lost. So at least in the key territories for Ukraine, they're not able to retake them. However, we also know that Ukraine's ability to manufacture drones domestically has continued to improve. And this allows Ukraine to carry out attacks like has occurred over the past few hours. And that ability is only going to improve even more as the Ukrainians gain more experience, as they fix things that don't work, they make improvements to their drones. They're certainly going to improve this ability to hit Russian military or energy facilities beyond the border. But again, it's not going to change the facts on the ground in the eastern Ukrainian territories occupied by Russia.
Yes, and Ross, obviously, Donald Trump's growing frustration with the Russian president, as we briefly discussed earlier. Obviously, this deadline is looming of the possibility of further sanctions on Moscow. How effective of a tool will that be in leverage in peace talks, in the possibility of ending this war? What kind of issues economically are Russia facing that will make these sanctions a powerful weapon, or will do next to nothing?
If the United States, at the end of this deadline period imposed by President Trump, were to only sanction specific Russian companies, financial institutions, individuals, business leaders, political leaders, that's probably not going to change any policy or war-fighting strategy of President Putin. Generally, the only thing that would have a huge effect on Russia would be this proposal that's been in the United States Congress to impose huge sanctions on countries that buy Russian energy, and specifically that would be India and China. President Trump at times has seemed supportive of that proposal. At times he seemed to back off of that support. But really the only way to hurt Russia financially is going to be to get India and China to stop their purchases of Russian energy. But as of this moment, it doesn't seem that President Trump is going in that direction, but he might change his mind and he might pursue that.
Yes, Ross Feingold, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to get your insight.